Okay, we're going to pick up with how to factor a trinomial when you have an leading coefficient that is equal to 1. For example, x squared plus 6x plus 8. It's in standard form, and our leading coefficient is 1 here. So the first thing you need to do is identify the values for b and c. So I know that my b is 6 and my c is 8. Then you're going to find two numbers that add to b and multiply to c. And it can be a bit of a trial and error. But if I want to find two numbers that multiply to 8, and I've seen a lot of people do this. So if they multiply to 8, what are two numbers that multiply to positive 8? Positive 2 and positive 4, and negative 2 and negative 4, right? But then we want them to add to positive 6. So the only thing that can be is the positive 2 and the positive 4. So that means our factors would be x plus 2 and x plus 4. We can verify this by saying x times x and 4 times x and 2 times x and 2 times 4. And we get x squared plus 2x plus 4x plus 8. And that gives me x squared plus 6x plus 8. Okay, let's do a couple of these. So we want two numbers that multiply to 5 and add to 6. And it's going to be a positive 6. So two numbers that multiply to 5. That can be positive 5 and positive 1. That's the only thing. So that's going to be our factors, x plus 5 and x plus 1. Well, now let's do this one. We want two numbers that multiply to positive 8, but that add to negative 9. So if this is positive and this is negative, the only thing that gives me a positive 8 and positive 1, positive 4 and positive 2, or negative 8 and negative 1, negative 4 and negative 2. That's the only combinations of numbers that multiply to give me a positive 8. That adds to positive 9. That adds to positive 6. That adds to negative 9. And these two bottom numbers add to negative 6. What do I want? Negative 9. So these are my factors where I have x minus 8 and x minus 1. Okay, do this one and see what you come up with and come back and check it. This is how I factor. I just say x times x. Factors of 15 are 3 and 5. I want the greater one to be positive. That gives me negative 15 plus 5x minus 3x, so that's my factors. Okay, what if you have a leading coefficient greater than 1, like 2x squared minus x minus 3? The only thing that multiplies together to give me 2x squared is a 2x and an x. You're going to use the same process that you did before, only now you might have a little guess and check to do. The only factors of 3 are 3 and 1, right? So I could have negative 3 and positive 1. Or I could have positive 3 and negative 1. Let's see what I get. Negative 3x plus 2x. And lucky for me, that gives me my negative x that I want. So that's my factors right there. But what if you had chosen different ones? What if you started out and said, oh, positive 3 and negative 1? You would have gotten plus 3x minus 2x, which would have given you positive x. Nope, that wouldn't have worked. So that's what I mean about you may have a guess and check. So this was negative and this was positive. Okay, for this one, the only thing I can have is 5x and x. That's the only combination that gives me a 5x squared. For negative 8, I could have negative 4 and positive 2, negative 2 and positive 4, negative 8 and positive 1, positive 8 and negative 1. I could have all of these combinations. But I want to add to 18. So, if I'm thinking that this is 4, and this is negative 2, that's going to give me plus 4x minus 10x. So that won't work. What if I say, I don't know, negative 8, positive 1? What does that give me? Negative 40x and plus x. Nope, that won't work. So what if I say negative 8, positive 1, negative 8x plus 5x? Nope. So what about 4 minus 2? That gives me negative 2x plus 20x, which gives me 18x. Great. That's my factors right there. Now, you can see this works, but sometimes it takes a little bit of time. So there's something that we know as slide and divide. So this is where you have to follow this pattern. So here is A and B and C. So you multiply C times A and factor as normal. So you slide that over. So I'm going to be left with x squared minus 11x and then multiply A times C. So slide that that A over and multiply it by C, and now I get negative 12. Okay, let's factor that like normal. X and X, factors of 12, probably negative 12 and positive 1. Gives me negative 12 and it gives me negative 11x. Okay, but then it says take factors and divide by A since you multiplied by A to begin with. So because I took that 6 and multiplied it here, now I need to divide both of these by 6. When you get a whole number, go ahead and divide that, reduce this out, in other words. So that would be 12 divided by 6 is 2. So I have x minus 2. I cannot perfectly come up with this. So now I need to slide that back in front of the coefficient, and I'm left with 6x plus 1. When I multiply this out, I can see that I get 6x squared minus 12x plus x minus 2. And that's exactly what I had. Look at G. That is exactly the problem that we kind of struggled with a little bit over here in E. So let's do this the slide and divide method. we're going to take 5 and multiply it by 8. So I'll have x squared plus 18x minus 40. Now we need to factor this. So factors of 40, 20 and 2, that's a good combination to give me 18. Let's see what needs to be positive. The 20 needs to be positive, and the 2 needs to be negative because that gives me negative 40. Negative 2x, positive 20x gives me 18x. Great. This is where a lot of people stop and they write this as their factors. But remember, we multiplied by 5, so we have to divide both by 5. This gives me, when I reduce this, because you always reduce it, and I get x plus 4. Over here, I can't reduce that any lower, so I have to slide the 5 back in front of the x, and I have 5x minus 2. Okay, that is it for factoring the leading coefficients of 1 or greater than 1.